Now, welcome back. Business activities at Abosoka in Accra has resumed after 3 days of lockdown strike by dealers. The spare parts dealers, numbering over 2,000, embark on the strike in protest over what they say is a high cost of transacting business. Here's a report by Pakwisi Asari.
Business activity in Accra's spare parts trading hub has been down over the past 3 days with very little or no activity. Most shops were closed to business, leaving many buyers stranded. But the situation has since reversed. It's been 3 days now since the Joint Consultative Forum comprising the Ghana Union of Traders Association, the Institute of Freight Forwarders, as well as the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, together with other trading organizations, decided to embark on a sit-down strike which started on Monday. A lot of shops were closed to trading activity. There was a lot of uncertainty as to the way forward for a lot of commuters and a lot of buyers who came here between Monday and Wednesday. It was pretty much difficult engaging in business activity. Well, today most of the traders have gone back to work. As you can see, a lot of the shops have been opened. Business has returned to normal. You can see trading is moving on well. But for these customers, the decision to resume work comes as a big relief.
It has caused a delay. Probably in our offices, we need parts to fix in our vehicles to get them going.
So today they've opened. Are you excited?
I'm sure we are. Automatically, we are resuming.
It affects us a lot. Well, yesterday I was here, 3 days today I was here, and all the shops are closed.
So are you excited today?
Yeah, very, very excited. Yeah, we got all the parts that we want, and then I think we are okay.
For now, business is being transacted as traders wait with bated breath for government's decision on concerns with the implementation of port payment charges. The traders say they expect a reduction in some of the taxes to prevent further agitations.
We want the government to come to our aid. Whatever they can do, they should come out and do it. And this is what we are expecting. And I know that surely they would listen to our appeal.
The leadership of the Joint Consultative Forum has been locked up in a meeting to determine their next line of action.
And an investment firm, Investcorp, has predicted a depreciation of the cedi by 15% this year. Last year, the cedi depreciated by 18.7% as against major currencies. And this, according to the investment group, means that the cedi will be selling at about 4 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos to the dollar by the end of the year. Again, the cedi lost its value by 1.7% to the US dollar in January this year and has so far depreciated by about 3 percentage points, trading at 4 Ghana cedis, 5 pesos. Investcorp, the investment firm, is also predicting that the 91-day Treasury bill will end the year at 24%. According to the group, with government over borrowing, it is unsure whether the yield on the T-bill will indeed end the year at a rate of 24%. Government borrowed some 781.91 million cedis on the domestic market alone between December 2015 and January 2016. We're joined on the line now to delve deeply into the issue. Financial expert Mohammed Kamaldeen. Good evening, sir, and thanks for your time.
Good evening.
Now, two issues here. The fact that the cedi will be depreciating. There's a prediction that the cedi is not going to do well till the end of this year. And then there is a Guta strike which has resumed. Quickly, your quick comment on these two issues before we continue.
Good evening once more to your listeners. The depreciation of the cedi which is alleged, that is based on somebody's own analysis. And it depends on so many variables to say. From a research perspective, somebody making a prediction will be using 1 or 2 variables. Depending on where you're coming from, you could agree or disagree with the person. From where I stand and look at the situation, if the fiscal discipline that we are trying to see, we're going to maintain within the year, if that is actually maintained, and some of the policy as we espouse within the State of the Nation's address is actually used, I think that we might not have that much of the difference as anticipated.
I see. But what indications give you this hope? I mean, you've made references to the State of the Nation's address and other indications, but is it not too, I don't want to say vague, but is it not too over hopeful?
Yes, for somebody can say it is too over hopeful, but from another point of view, you would think that we are saying that these are policies that the government intends to pursue within the year. That is what they are saying. And they are making and giving a strong indication that they're trying to maintain the physical discipline and they are avoiding that situation of overspending. They are avoiding that general situation where in every election year we have our system being overrun. And if we see that that system is actually avoided and policies and programs that we saw towards the last quarter of the year and in the second quarter of the last year, then we believe that that prediction of the 15% might not actually just be achieved. It could, yes, sway a little below 5-7% within that range. That's what I think.
And so let's now quickly look at the Guta issue, where Guta members went on strike, lockdown kind of, to close their shops for 3 days or so. They're returning to work, opening their shops today. Would you say that this is an effective way of protesting rising cost of doing business?
Personally, I wouldn't think that is a very effective way to do that. I believe that there is always a way to dialogue. And if you stop to close down is going to affect both government and then the union. They would definitely be losing a lot of revenue for the past 3 days. They have not worked. All the sub-unions within the main union will be losing a lot. The government will also be losing so much revenue within the 3-day period. And I think that if you do your analysis very well, starting from Monday to Wednesday, the inflows to the IRS has to do with the ports. It will tell you that the government has lost so much in terms of revenue, and this is something that we should always avoid. I believe that is dialogue, which is the way out.
Dialogue.
They are complaining about heavy taxes, huge taxes on them. This is one thing we think that maybe in future when we go in that far of introducing these things, we can involve them to some extent. Take their inputs. See how best we can meet them halfway through. If we think that we need them within our system, we cannot do without them. Yes, we need revenue. And if we need revenue, need huge sums of money to be able to run our economy. If they decide to do these things, it's going to go against us. So obviously, I would think that we should have a sort of a dialogue with them always, so that we can be meeting each other halfway through. That would solve the problem some way.
Right. Thanks very much, Mr. Kamal Dean. Kamal Dean is a financial analyst. He joined us on telephone there to discuss some issues relating to tax, Guta's protest, and the prediction that the city will not be doing too well this year. He disagrees, though. He's hopeful that looking at the indications that have been given in the President's State of the Nation's address and the performance of the city so far, it doesn't look that gloomy. So let's continue. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has rejected claims that salaries of nurses on the single spine pay policy have seen a massive improvement. National President of the association, Asante Krobia, cautioned other public sector workers to stop peddling falsehood.
The nurses were migrated onto the single spine pay policy 2 years ago. After their migration, the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association, GOSPA, accused the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission for placing the nurses above them. The situation triggered a misunderstanding between the leadership of GOSPA and the nurses over placement and grading on the structure. Currently, issues regarding placement and grading of GOSPA have not been resolved. However, GOSPA and other public sector workers insist the nurses have been handed a massive salary improvement after their migration onto the spine. But the leadership of the nurses have rejected the claims.
Many people have been saying that nurses have been given the best of deals with the single spine salary structure, and I want to say it is not true. We have never been satisfied with our placement on the single spine salary structure. Generally, you look at what the nurse or the midwife does within the healthcare continuum, our placement should have been higher. But as I was saying, it was a negotiation.
On their conditions of service, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association says the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is yet to codify the document.
We've actually finished with the conditions of service for nurses and midwives. We have the arrangement that we put into the document has been proofread, and we are left with the signing of the document into the final package. And I can hope that within the next 2 weeks we'll finalize the arrangements and we can present to nurses and midwives conditions of service negotiated with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission for their welfare.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, GRNA, has sworn in new national executives.
And the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAG, has issued a 3-week ultimatum to withdraw services over what it describes as government failure to implement recommendations on their salaries. The association alluded to a document presented to President Mahama on their conditions of service in 2015.
Leaders narrated between 2012 and 2013, members raised concerns over what they described as low salary levels and lack of conditions of service. The following year, the Judicial Council convened a meeting to discuss their conditions of service. The discussion and negotiations spanned until June 2015, after which the committee tasked to work on the conditions of service presented its document to government. It's recalled the Chief Justice, Georgina Wood, also petitioned the President, John Dramani Mahama, to act swiftly on the concerns raised. 1 year on, JUSAG says it is worried government is yet to act. The association has therefore served a notice to proceed on strike.
Must issues that affect conditions of service take us 1 year? Must they take us 2 years? We don't agree. We are surprised that since June, nothing has been done. So what are we taking for? If they had any challenges with the proposal, why did they not get back to us in July last year? Why did they not get back to us in August or September and sat down receiving us whenever we did a follow-up with all the assurances, only to realize that no meaningful information regarding the proposal the Honorable Lady Chief Justice has submitted to government on behalf of Council had not been, worked upon.
Again, the association was worried net salaries of registrars at the district courts are less than 1,000 cedis and have asked government to act promptly. We sought to find out whether government has paid their previous allowances.
Those were paid, even though we took the last bit of last year this year. But that does not bring the concerns to an end. When these consolidated salaries are paid, strikes in the judicial service will come to an end.
And so that's it. On that note of regional breaker, we end news at 10. My name is Stephen and thanks for staying with us. For more news, you can log on to tv3network.com. Good night.